Okay, so to get you started, I just wanted to run through how I do my labs. This is a super personal preference thing. Everyone is different. Please don't send me emails telling I'm doing it wrong. Take my ideas, modify them, ignore them. Totally up to you. I'm a Mac guy. This is my Mac. Life's good. But for a lot of these labs, it's very Windows centric. So what I've got is a virtual machine, a Bastion host that I use to jump into my different labs. So to get this host up and running, I suggest use a server operating system, throw some web browsers on there. If you're a VMware shop, VMware vSphere client's good. We'll come back to Citrix. This plugin, the Microsoft Remote Desktop Connection Manager, is awesome. So we're going to use this a fair bit. And this just runs as a virtual machine. So here's my Nutanix lab. So you can see here I got 4 Nutanix nodes, and this is the Bastion host that I'm actually on. So it's just a virtual machine. I've given it plenty of CPU and memory. It's just easy, right? I just use the RDP client on my Mac. If you're a Windows guy, just use your RDP client there, and I can jump onto this machine and it's always ready to go. Now there's a few things on this host that I've done. The first one is it's also a little bit of a file server. So I've got some software just sitting here, and if I need to install something, it's pretty much here ready to go. So I've got like virtual clients, the Zen desktop software off the website. So whatever I need, I can just quickly get it and start installing and mucking around in my lab. This whole lab environment as well is a segregated network to my normal sort of home network. So this particular host, this Bastion host, is the only machine in my lab that connects to my home network. So it's a bit of a jump box. So from my Mac on my desk, I jump into this particular host, and from here it's completely segregated network. So it keeps things nice, clean, and packaged. Now, for the labs, there's a few things that are, in my book, essential. So because I'm going to be talking about Citrix and View and VDI, I've got a couple of domain controllers, so you'll need those. Now, I am going to assume you know how to spin up a Windows 2012 VM in your hypervisor, in your VMware. So if you need help with that, ping me, maybe I'll make a video, otherwise I'm sure someone has. So here I've just created 2 Windows 2012 machines and configured them as domain controllers. So here they are, ready to roll. So I've installed the domain controller services. They're also DHCP servers. Of course, they're a DNS server, and I've got file services installed on them as well. Now, some other things that I've done, because this is a lab and this is not following any production best practices, is to set a group policy that turns all my firewalls off. Again, this is just because I'm lazy and it's a lab. Do not do this in production. But I'll throw some links onto my blog that you can use to just set a group policy to disable the networks, the network firewalls. So that's done. That way any machine that joins the network will have this policy added to it. Again, not best practice. Do not do this in production. It's just for my lab. It's just one less thing to troubleshoot if I'm playing around with new things. The other thing is I push a policy that enables remote desktop. That way I can RDP into any of these machines without any dramas or any complexity. So I'm going to assume you have 2 domain controllers. My ones are sitting on my Nutanix lab, so they're called NTNX AD01, but you can call them whatever you want. Just remember what you called them. And again, I've got 2 here. You don't need 2, but I was just feeling a little fancy. So that's kind of the basics. So Bastion host, like a jump box, this RDP client, remote desktop connection manager, seriously download it, it's awesome. The other thing you can do is if you want to do this using your Mac a little bit more, there's this cool program that a buddy of mine showed me called Royal TSX. This is really cool. This is a Mac native program, but I think they've got a Windows and Linux version. And again, I can add in all my different hosts and Windows boxes. So if I want to get onto console on a machine, I can just quickly bring it up. It automatically logs me in and I'm on console. So here I'm on my Nutanix controller VM console. Double click here, bang, here I am on my ESX console. It automatically stores your credentials, and if you're just buzzing around, it's nice and quick. So that's it. Get started by getting yourself a jump box, get a domain controller set up. DNS, DHCP is definitely required for what we're going to be doing next. As far as the configuration of DHCP and my network, Again, this is not production, so my network is actually a B class. So if you look in here, I've got it configured 10, 10, 10, 50, and then it's just a big chunky subnet. Again, lab, so I can do this. And what it's allowed me to do is my DHCP is basically handing out a scope that's quite sizable. And if you wanted to, you could change this. You could make it 10, 10, 50, and it's all going to be routable. It's all on the same big subnet. So configure your DHCP, give it a nice short lease time because you don't really need anything longer than that. And DNS is a no-brainer. It pretty much gets set up out of the box as part of your AD. I've done no tuning because, again, super basic lab. So, what else have I done? Oh, of course, I also put a group policy in just to map that file share that's on my Bastion host. So if I'm on any of my virtual machines, because I've logged in, I've got access to that shared file. Again, it just makes it super simple. If I want to install something, there it is. It's all ready to go. All my software, I just download as trial versions off the vendor's website. They normally give you trial licenses. So Citrix are pretty cool. They'll give you a pretty long trial license. VMware is really good. They'll give you long trial licenses. Microsoft give you nice long trial licenses for pretty much everything. So you can play around in your lab and do some damage. Okay, so that's it for the basics. I'm going to leave you to go get your AD box set up. And if you get stuck, seriously, Google up some instructions. It's super straightforward. And from here, we're going to start building out a Citrix lab.